Alright, last time we had just begun to explore this. And you know what? Just so we can listen to the life form without any distraction, I'm going to turn that down. It's a tempo knob, you can slow it down to a crawl. And if you turn grid's tempo all the way down, it shuts it off, and then it will respond to clock tempo that is input right here from another source. And we will get to that later. But for right now, let's listen to that lifeforms sound. Basically, an analog synthesis, this right here is an envelope generator, just like this one that we looked at before. It's got a knob for attack, decay, sustain, and release. And it is hardwired inside to the gate output over here in the MIDI section. So that light lights up when I press a key on my controller over here, and it causes the envelope to play, and the envelope is hardwired to this up here, which is another VCA, and the VCA is controllable with control voltage. So if I was to just take this LFO here, I'm going to turn it down because who knows what's going to happen. Alright. Now, this LFO is controlling the level of the VCA. So you can open and close that gate using CV. That's why it's quiet. Add a couple more waves in there with the mixer section. And so you see, that's the thing. All of these oscillators and things are constantly outputting a signal, just non-stop. And the way to break that signal up and to notes is with the VCA. You can control it with the triangle wave, or you can control it with the square wave, which just makes it turn on and off at the same speed. There are lots of other things that we can control with CV. And we can control, I'm going to take a signal out of the low pass. That's the output coming out of the filter. And we can take this LFO here and patch it to the frequency CV. And now that is controlling the cutoff frequency of the filter. And it'll control it relative to the position of that knob. And then this here is a attenuverter. It attenuates and also inverts. So we set it this way, it's pushing the frequency up. When the light is bright, the frequency goes up. If I turn this down here the other way, then when the light is up, the light is bright, the frequency goes down. It's affecting it in a negative direction. And attenuverters can be really useful for making, making a CV go the other way if you want it to have an opposite effect. And I have a couple extras of those over here because not everything comes with an attenuverter on board. It's pretty normal for filters, but they usually don't put it on anything else. Now, an envelope is also a source of CV. So if I plug back into this main output, I'm playing that, and if I adjust the attack time, you'll hear that. And this is controlling the VCA, and it's connected inside, so I don't need to use a cable. And then if I want to set the sustain lower, then I can have a sound that that'll do that, and then stay at this lower level. So it rises a little bit and then falls. Well, that's controlling the VCA. Supposing that I just want the VCA to stay open while the key is down, then I take my gate output and plug that into the CV control of the VCA. And now it just stays on, regardless of the envelope. It's ignoring that. Well, the filter is also hardwired to respond to this envelope. So if I turn up my attenuverter, now the filter is responding to this, and the VCA is ignoring it. Now, if I unplug that, then we revert back to the internal patching. So the VCA and the filter are both reacting simultaneously. If I turn up my decay, my release time, and when I release the key, it takes it a couple of little time to decay. But I'm just going to turn all of these up to this so that it's basically just gating itself. And the filter's not moving, so we don't have that distraction. And we'll return back to what else can I control with that LFO. Plugging this just into a filter output. So we hear a steady note. We've controlled the VCA, we've controlled the filter with the LFO. We can also control pitch. If I plug into the triangle output and then plug that into the FM input over here, and then turn up this amount knob, now the pitch is responding to this, and I can do it with the square wave, and it's just like up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, and then use this to affect, because this is attenuating, it controls the voltage amount, so that will affect the range. That could be useful. We can also use it to control the pulse width. Well, it's already connected to that. We demonstrated that earlier because it's an internal patch And we heard how that LFO affects the pulse width modulation. Now there's another modulation trick down here. It has a sample and hold. And what sample and hold does, there is a sample input and then there's a clock input. And the sample input is an incoming signal. It can be audio or CV. And then the clock input just triggers it, so every time it receives a pulse, it will sample the voltage of the input. If we send it this wave, and then know that the clock input is coming from the MIDI module. So this thing, you tap it to set the tempo, and it measures the amount of time between the taps. So if you watch this light, I'm going to slow it down a little bit. Every time that blinks, it is going to sample the voltage of this LFO, and we will send its output to the filter frequency cutoff. And it just kind of chops it up into little random pieces. Now, normally, this is internally patched to listen to noise. And the noise sounds like this. It's a random signal, and it's sampling a voltage from that every time the light blinks. It's pretty loud. But anyway, using that on our waveform, we get an even more random pattern of voltages. And if I change the tempo, it'll sample more frequently. And that's 13 minutes already, so I'll stop this one here and continue in the next video.